um, my colleagues in faith and all other faiths. Salaam alaikum, peace be upon you all. First of all, thank you so much. It's nice to see some old faces. So much for attending this evening. And it makes us, as a local community here, feel great that we are being respected, to say the least, by you guys attending this center. Do invite us to your centers, and we'll love to participate more in all other centers that you come from. So I'm a local general practitioner, born in Mombasa, Kenya. And two things I miss about Mombasa. Number one, I remember with my grandfather, as I walked down the road, whether it was Eid, the Muslim holiday, or the Diwali, the Hindu holiday, or Christmas, we participated in all of those functions back home. And it was great. Having lived in this country 46, 47 years now, it hurt me to see how polarized we have become. And believe me, my contemporaries here, I mean, the younger ones like Khadija and Mikdad and others are next generation, but my generation contemporaries, some of us are here, and others, when we came here at the tender age of 18, 17, after having done our O-levels and A-levels to come and join the universities or whatever, we have been continuing to gather together, and we've asked ourselves, what can we contribute back to the society, this society that has nurtured us? And we feel that it is a project like this that we want to leave as a legacy. And as the first of its kind, as far as we know, our research has shown that nowhere in the Western world any Muslim group has truly opened its doors to everybody. And that's what we want to do. We want to create a center that every neighbor, and I mean it, every neighboring household feels this to be as much as their center as it is mine, and participate fully in it. So let me just take you through some of the current status. So these are the current trustees. Believe me, okay, well, we'll go. Somebody's in a hurry, but we'll carry on. But we'll carry on. So believe me, there's an economist there. There's a pharmacist there. There's a finance director of a charitable organization. Okay, this is the team that is working, and this is a team which has emanated from all parts of the world. Let's move on. This is the history of the organization in one very heavy slide. This organization, the origin of this organization, as I said, were young professionals who came really here at a very young age, but now, like myself, are grandparents. But our history in 4 to 5 simple lines is that we said 35 years ago that all deliberations in this center should be in English, so that anybody from the locality can understand that. Okay? Mind you, many mainstream organizations, Muslim and non-Muslims, have caught on with that. Number two, we have always said that women should be at the forefront of the decision-making in the executive committee, just like men. No difference. 35 years ago, many other organizations have now caught on. We have made sure that we empowered our youth. For the last 5 to 7 years, 90% of the executive committee of this organization is below the age of 35. Last 15 years, we've worked diligently with the other Muslim organizations like the Harrow Mosque and with the local churches, as you heard, St. Albans and Methodist, etc., and the local synagogues to try and build a bridge. And we have been to your centers, you have come to our centers. Thank you very much. And by the way, not a single speaker has been to this center, whether it's on a religious occasion or other occasions. And every single Friday, religiously by and large, from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., we have a lecture here from anybody, man or woman, Muslim or non-Muslim, anybody who can give some words of wisdom. But every lecturer who has been here always is subjected to 15 minutes of questions and answers. Nobody's allowed to come off the chair, and I guess I will be subjected to that as well tonight, come off the chair without being subjected to questions and answers. So this is just a flavor of the current quarter, Every Friday, we have those lectures. I'll just leave the slide for one moment, although I think you've got a copy of this in the brochure you have. So please participate. I would love you guys to be sitting here every Friday with me. And let's just listen, whoever it may be. You can suggest somebody else for the following quarter to say, look, guys, I know of this person who will be wonderful for you guys to invite as well. So let's just carry on with that story. Next slide. Amongst our team, and these are individuals who came to this country, believe me, in the late teens, are people like Ahmed Versi that we have heard about by David Tuck. Let's move on. We have Iqbal, one of my fellow trustees, who was awarded a CB. Somebody's in a hurry. Sorry. So Iqbal actually has advised the Bank of England on Islamic finance. Let's move on to the next slide. I've just been to a commemoration of Amir Karim there, one of my colleagues here, who unfortunately died about 40 days ago. And him and his son Mukhtar have been ardent participants of this organization, and they've done wonderful work globally, and this charity continues to do that. And Mukhtar is part of this group as well. Next slide. Mikdad, I don't need to introduce you. You know him. He's everywhere. Well, I'm in the media. Okay. And next slide. We have Asim, and we were amongst the founding partners in this project of the Sufra Food Bank. Let's move on. So this is just some of the slides to show our relationship. We have colleagues from the Harrow Mosque who have been here. My colleagues from Harrow Mosque would vouch for me that whilst the Harrow Mosque was being built, we made sure that they were able to utilize a space here for their needs, including the Friday prayers. Okay, thank you. And the next slide will show our relationship with the local churches and the synagogues as well. I'm looking at Naveen Shah, and I'm looking at you as well. I really would like to, although I got lots of Hindu patients, some wonderful ones. This morning I walk every Sunday morning with my patients around Harrow Park, West Harrow Park, and I've got lots of lovely Hindu friends, but I need to penetrate into Hindu institutions, okay? And please pave way for me there. Okay, next slide. So this is, okay, so just one slide. So this is what the old huts were. Those of you who remember North Harrow Assembly Halls, 1930s Nissan huts. When there was a leak from the roof, we dare not repair it because of the asbestos hazard. So there was no other option but to demolish them, really. And so over the years, we made sure that we acquired those two houses at the top end on Canterbury Road and the two houses at the bottom end. Next slide. So we have this whole site. And next slide. So we demolished those two houses on the Canterbury Roads facing, and the next slide. So these two houses will be demolished at the last part of the project, if you like, the fourth phase. Currently, we are using the left half 39 for our own use. When there's an overflow, if there are more people here, we try and link them up with the facilities next door. And the other house we have rented for the moment, just to continue with a bit of income. And if you carry on. So this is what we want to build, as you know. It goes 2 floors below ground. Next slide. And we have just actually, literally just last month, got an approval by the planning committee to change the facade slightly to mimic a little bit more like that. Next slide. This is the Prophet's son-in-law, Prophet Muhammad's cousin, who had this famous line that really inspired us. And that's what we are working towards. Next line. As you all know, Harrow is religiously the second most. It used to be the first, used to be the highest, most diverse ward back in when we started this project. But now it's the second most, I believe. So we've got a wonderful group of people here. I'm made to believe that there are 250 languages spoken in London. I'm sure at least 150 are spoken in Harrow. Let's move on. So the 2 floors of basement are ready, trust me. And you could actually walk in today and have a look. So the blue is the sports hall. It's Sports England size, 5-a-side football, 4 badminton court, basketball, netball, volleyball, net cricket. You could play all of those activities there. The green bit on the right is the plant area. All the equipment relating to heating and ventilation. The yellow is the women's gym, and the purple is the is the women's changing area. When we actually carried out an exercise of consultation and created focus groups to try and learn from Muslims and non-Muslims, men and women, 15 years ago as to what was required within the community center. Believe me, an exclusively women's gym came very much at top as well, not only from the Muslims, but the non-Muslims as well. Women want privacy. That's why women have their own ward on in the hospitals, or the public toilets are men and women separately. And on the same basis, there is a need for a women's gym, apparently. So here we are creating that, having listened to people. The purple on the top right is the lecture theatre, just a 90-seater. So the group here, for example, we are probably about 90 people. I don't know who has counted them. So this group will fit into that lecture theatre. So it's a standard lecture theatre. We'll have lectures. You can have a play. We can have a film show or whatever. That goes into the basement -2 as well. And the top left-hand side, the green and the red, is a beauty parlor. So manicure, pedicure, men and women, anything to earn money. Yes, at the end of the day, the idea is to make the whole centers financially self-sustaining. That's very important. Okay, and I'll come to that slide in a moment. So let's move on to the next slide. So we are now rising 1 floor above. We are still below ground. We are -1. So since the sports hall has to have a double height, so it's a mezzanine floor, if you like. So starting with the light blue on the far right, that's the men's gym, and the green next to it is a men's changing area. And then next to it is the feature staircase that goes all the way up and down. And then there's a little more extra plant room in yellow, and the orange is the kitchen, and the red is a sports studio. So all of these areas that I've listed so far are physically present there, that you can actually walk and look at those. So by sports studio, I mean the yoga and the Zumba and the Pilates and whatever is on the vogue today, okay, or when it's ready. And the slide above, so as you enter, so this is, the ground floor is the narrowest, if you like, and the shortest. And the reason for that is that from the planning perspective, we were told that we have to maintain the footprint of the buildings that you demolish, maintain the same size footprint. So this, if you like, the ground floor is the narrowest and the smallest. We saw the basement that goes straight to fence, if you like, and goes full width. And the floor above that also overarches the ground floor. So on the ground floor, we have the red area, which is the Muslim prayer area, the blue being the men's ablution area, and the purple being the women's ablution area. And on the left, we have the restaurant, and the lighter green is the cafeteria or coffee shop. If you move on. So the floor above, we have another hall, which could be multifunctional hall. It could be a conference hall. It could be a wedding banquet. It could be for a variety of functions. And then the purple, if that's the color, or brownish, if you like, are the classrooms that you can collapse and enlarge the hall, or you can extend the classes more. The purple in the front is a roof garden. I forgot to mention that on the ground floor, we have a garden outside, if you like, touching the neighbor's fence, which we have named the Garden of Contemplation. So it's the quiet garden. This is the youth garden on the first floor, next to the youth center in yellow. And in the blue, on the dark blue on the left, is the library. The light blue is the IT room, and the pink room is a multi-faith. So we really mean what we say. Any other person who wants to say his or her prayers at the center, we have created a room for that purpose as well. And the next slide up, this is the only side on the Canterbury Road, the northern side, where it goes 1 floor up, so it's ground +2, where we have a media room, and who will together, David, will create a local radio station, how about that, or a local television center to try and communicate with the community as a whole. We have the admin and the management space there. And if you move to the next slide, so this is the children's center, which is a standalone children's center, exactly where we are. So this porta cabin goes, the 2 houses get demolished, and this is where the children's center goes, which will not have a basement, so it's ground +2 floors. And if you move, so if you put a 3-year-old, a 10-year-old, 3 to 10-year-old child, it's difficult to get him or her out of that place, believe me. Just like I experienced with my grandchildren last weekend. And if you move the slide above, when I took them to Topsy-Turvy in Brent Cross. So slide above that. after that. So this is just the same, the list of all the facilities. And we can move on to the next slide. We can move on to the next slide. So just take you through the story of how it all started. So basement, believe me, I learned more about construction in the last 5 years than I probably learned about medicine in the preceding 35 years. But never understood how expensive and how complicated it can be as well. But putting those piles, I mean, concrete and steel all the way down to the basement and 8 meters beyond that, all around the perimeter, some 260 of them, and several in the middle, and some of the piles not being straight and then needing to be correcting. Okay, I thought angioplasty was difficult enough, but okay. But I feel sorry for you guys. And I mean, and then a series of steel and concrete poured, and concrete that is waterproof, and membranes and SICM membranes, and the walls are nearly a meter. I mean, all of that obviously was making my heart burn because it was all costing money. Okay, and can you imagine unearthing all that? If you move to the next slide. Okay, there you are. So we are taking through the stages, and then we make the staircase goes up. Next slide. Okay, and these pylons, as they were called, to hold the banks back, were costing £8,000 a week. And every time it rained, my heart rate went up. Because the contractor had the right to say, well, it's too rain, I can't work. So there you are, £8,000 extra per week. But thank God they're out, believe me, and I never want to see them again. Okay, let's move on. So this is what it looks like now. So this is what the basement looks like. So this is from the sports hall, looking at the mezzanine floor. And the next slide. This is the ground floor. So ground floor concreted. So you could actually walk on the ground floor, and you can actually see where the prayer hall is. You can see where the restaurant is. You can see where the entrance is. As we walk, are we walking there? How much time do? Are we making a tour? You make that? Yeah. Okay. Very good. So and it's floodlit, so there should be no problems. So some of the images, if you like. Before you go there, can you go back? The next. You see, until you go and see that, you will not you'll not be able to appreciate, obviously, the enormity of the task or the work that has occurred. By the way, we've spent £4.5 million on construction. Forget the land cost, that all the houses that we bought before, all the planning application fees, including every type of report you could think of, including a bat report. Thank God they didn't ask for a butterfly report. But I mean, every single, from flood risk to travel plans to soil, etc. £750,000 spent even before we got the planning permission. Okay. But the next bit is easy. Naveen, you'll agree with me. All you have to do now is just take those columns up, okay, fill up, cover them with concrete, put the roof, and put the facade and the envelope, and you have the building ready, except it's a shell. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. See, I learned. So this is looking from the far end of the ground floor towards the entrance hall. So if you like, from the coffee shop towards the entrance door, and you can see on the left is a garden of contemplation, and all the neighbors, by the way, I mean, the house prices are going to rocket up here because the neighbors will be looking at a green wall. Okay, that's all that is a live green wall that the neighbors will be looking on that side. So we have made sure that we please them as best as we can. Next one. This is as you enter through the foyer, you're looking at a feature staircase across you, and there'll be a little reception in front of that. And beyond that is a garden of contemplation. Next slide. This is looking from the restaurant end towards the main entrance. These are images, obviously, at the moment. And next slide. This is what the prayer hall would look like, either this way or, next one. Carry on. So, or this type of finish. We are still debating about that. Okay, next one. This is the first floor, the mezzanine floor. Just beyond that, you can probably see the roof garden. But next slide. Much better picture. So this is the roof garden. And on the right is a youth center. Next slide. Needless to say, the building is very green in terms of environmental friendliness, and we reach a good level of BREEAM, as it's called. So there's solar panels, geothermal heat extraction. We are still debating about utilizing rainwater, etc. Carry on. Some of you were here 2014 when we had a symbolic groundbreaking ceremony, and you can see the mayor of Harrow at the time. She's there. Okay, carry on. Carry on. Just move next few slides. So this was just symbolic groundbreaking ceremony. Stop. Now, I'm getting tired. Okay, this is true timeline. Huh? It's hard work. If I had the money, I could finish it by then. But the question is if. The question is if I had the money. So we are trying hard. Let's look at the money slide, next one. So the green is what's already collected. The red is desperately needed. The gray can wait. So, as I said, we bought all the land, the houses, we paid for the professional fees until we got planning permission. We had collected and spent £4 million. We have collected and spent £4.5 million so far in doing all the basement work. Okay, the indication is that we need £2.5 million in our bank to do the next stage. And we are working hard for that. So hitherto, the strategy has been, let's collect and spend. But there are pitfalls to that. The biggest pitfall is that more you wait, more costly it is. Yeah, the inflation in the construction industry is much higher. So the strategy now is to try and borrow. So we've been talking to many banks and many institutions, and we are reasonably hopeful that we will have that, okay, pretty soon to try and move. So at the moment we have taken a short break for about 3 months, 4 months to try and get the money. If you've got the money in the bank, the contractor tries to price more competitively than otherwise. Yeah. So if he's got the guarantee of seeing the visibility of the money there, there's a chance of a better pricing. And the design team are just, if you like, crossing the T's and dotting the I's as far as the documentation for tender purpose is concerned, which is imminent. When I say imminent, about 3 months away. So we have to work on that. So for that, we have also started a drive of collecting standing orders. So anybody, but anybody, can sacrifice their one coffee a week from Costa. They would be very unhappy if they heard that. So even £10 a month, and I mean it, £10 a month standing order is something that we say thank you very, very, very much to anybody who signs that. So there are people who have signed £10, there's people who have signed more. Today we have got more than 200 people who have signed standing orders, and we have a revenue of about £20,000 per month standing order. And if we can just double on that, we will have no problem financing that. And the intention is to keep on working on that. Borrow and build and pay back. Borrow, build and pay back. Guys, how can I stand here and not ask for money? It's become almost my habit. Yeah, it's become my habit. So no matter what, please, there are standing orders there. On your way out, just collect one. Speak to your spouses. I know nobody does anything today without speaking to your spouses. I don't. Okay? Speak to your children. Just sign something. At least what that would reflect to us is that we have partners in the community. We have partners in the community who are equally aspiring to see this center up and running. Whatever little you can. You can stop it yourself anytime. Just give us a try. If you find that you're not liking it, you can stop it. You just tell your bank and cancel it, for heaven's sake. But just do that to reflect to us that we are all working for the common purpose. Sorry? Yes, yeah, absolutely. If you're a taxpayer, for heaven, in parallel to the standing order form, on the other side we have a gift aid form as well. If you put your signature, the HMRC would gladly, I suppose, can I use that word? Gladly contribute 25% as well. The next slide. The intention is to make the whole project financially self-sustaining. So all of those areas, these are not back of the envelope exercise. Believe me, we have had consultants involved as well to make sure, to work it out for us based on the current market. All of those will be income generating. We estimate that the cost of running the center will be about 400 to 500,000 pounds a year. I mean, it has to be run professionally. It has to be run just like any other center, be it a local shopping center, whatever. It cannot run on a voluntary basis. We will have to have a CEO, we'll have to have a caretaker, we'll have to have a finance director. It has to run professionally, and all the areas have to have support staff as well. But we feel that assuming at the end of the day we haven't borrowed heavily and there's no borrowing, we should be able to be self-funding. Next slide. So, what do we need from you? I'll let you read. And final slide. Next one. Thank you so much.